Hey guys, my name is Samuel. This is my 95 Kawasaki Vulcan 1500 Classic. Um, I had a really bad oil leak. I got a couple of them really. Anyways, the one I wanted to focus on is the push rod seal. It's behind your slave cylinder. Okay, and basically it's real easy to get to. There's other videos too I've seen on it, so that's where I got my idea how to do this. You got a foot peg, right? It's going to be in the way. You're going to have this cover on, the side cover, okay? You got to take the foot peg off first. I think it's a 17 millimeter socket. We'll take that off. Adopt to the side. Then you got about five 8 millimeter bolts that you're going to take out to get the side cover off. And then right here you have your slave cylinder housing, okay? And you got 3 8 millimeter bolts right here. 3 8 millimeter bolts that hold that on. You loosen those up, take this out. There shouldn't be any oil on the inside of this or on the inside of this housing here. If you do, that means that your push rod seal is bad, it's hard, and it's not holding a seal anymore. It doesn't take much. They're kind of a poor design, like I've heard other guys say in other videos. Here's your push rod seal. Okay, good luck finding this on Amazon. I mean, you might be able to, but they want you to buy a bunch of other crap with it. You just can't find them by themselves. So what I had to do was I went to Kawasaki, Babbitt's Online, www.babbitt's online. They got Kawasaki parts, OEM parts, and I ordered. They're not very expensive. They're like $6 a piece, but I went ahead and ordered 3 of them, just so I have them on hand in case it ever wears out again and start leaking oil. And you could tell when it's going bad because you'll have oil in the housing, you'll have oil on here. You probably will have some oil on the inside of the housing cover, and you'll definitely have oil when you're running the bike and you get it warm and everything. You'll have oil running down your kickstand or the spring of the kickstand, just making a mess everywhere. Kind of irritating, so I got to the bottom of it anyways. But on one of the videos I saw, the guy was pretty much correct on how to do it, but I did notice he said to put the push rod, which is right here, pull it out. I got the new seal in already. Okay, he said to put the push rod with the dimpled side into the engine. But that's not correct because, and I say that because on the inside of this slave cylinder housing, okay, you have looks like a ball bearing, stainless steel ball bearing. I believe that's where that dimple is supposed to rest, is right on that ball bearing. Kind of keeps it, you know, centered up. And so he was saying to put the flat side out, and I don't think that's correct. So anyway, you want to put the dimple side of the push rod, there's a little dimple there, put it on the outside, put the flat side in. And like he said, and then there's another guy who has a video on this, he said to make sure that you use a 9/16 socket to push that seal in, because you don't want to push that seal in too far or else it'll fall inside the engine and then it'll cause a lot of problems. So that's what I did. I used that 9/16 socket with an extension to make that seal push in flush against the back of that housing. That's what you want. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get that. There we go. And just push it in like that. Okay, so you want to use this to tap that. I tried to push, but it was kind of hard, so I just got me a rubber mallet, Harbor Freight, and I just gently just tapped it in and made sure that I had it off to one side a little bit so the socket would just barely hit the housing. I knew that, you know, it was going to be flush when I did that. I did it all the way around. And you want to clean everything up, get all the oil off of everything inside and inside of this here, and then put it back together and you're good. Don't over tighten these 8 millimeter bolts either. Be careful. It's real easy to snap bolts off, especially the small ones. You just want to snug it up real good. Okay, don't over torque it. Well, that's weird. In all the way? Alright guys, so the very last part of this, I realized that this doesn't push back in all the way, so don't panic. I believe that ball bearing has some kind of a spring tension behind it. So basically you got to push in a little and get these three started, okay? But just be careful when you do it, and just do a couple of turns on each one until you get them all kind of starting to thread, and then do a couple turns on each one back and forth. Okay, don't try to do one all at once or two all at once and leave the last one for last, because you're gonna mess something up. It's really, I don't like it. It'd be really easy to screw that up and cross thread it. You don't want to cross thread anything. So, like I said, just be careful and do them a little at a time. This one. There we go. Yeah. But all in all, I'd say it's an easy project. You know, it'd take you 20 minutes probably. And you don't need to goop nothing up either. It should seal just fine. Alright guys, it's supposed to be a 20-minute job, but well, if you break this thing, this plastic, it's got 3 holes. It goes around the slave cylinder housing, type of a gasket. If you break this, it's going to be longer than 20 minutes, alright? And I couldn't find one on Amazon either, so I found some cork gasket in my garage, and I'm going to try to fab me up a couple pieces of cork to go over that housing and take the place of this thing, this hard plastic housing that broke. So there's your 3 pieces of gasket. Let's see if I can do this. And I just carefully, you know, rearranged it. It was a pain because it's in 3 pieces. But anyhow, I went and traced it out with a Sharpie, a real fine point Sharpie on my cork gasket. I'm going to make probably 2, possibly 3 of those exactly alike, and then I'm going to put them all together, and that's going to be my new gasket. Because I don't think it's that critical for that, where that goes. There's not much oil that gets, or pressure behind that. So, and oh, want to let you know, you got to drill these out first to reproduce these holes here in this gasket. You're going to drill out these holes with a 17/64 drill bit. 17/64. Okay, and that'll get you real close to that size hole right there, which is the bolt's gonna go through that. Okay, but again, it's not that critical. You don't want it too sloppy though. And you're gonna make it look just like that one. You're gonna cut out this inner portion here and cut out all around this shape here. And this is your 20-minute slave cylinder seal, push rod seal job. Turns into probably an hour and a half. Anyhow, sometimes you learn along the way, but I gotta say, you know, this bike is 25 years old, and this plastic, you know, I don't care, you know, the heat and the time, you know, basically I just barely started torquing on that thing, torquing it down, and I heard a crack, and it just split into 3 pieces. It happens on an older bike, you know, you have those plastic parts, they don't hold up, man, when you go to redo a job. So anyway. Hey guys, little update to that job. Here's my gasket that I cut out with an X-Acto knife. That's your best way of doing it. This cork gasket here. Although scratch the 17/64 drill bit, that bottom hole is where I used it, and it made a horrible job of making a clean hole. So it'll still work, but you're better off just using the X-Acto knife and carefully cutting out the holes that you trace with your marker. All right. All right. Here we are. Got everything put back together. minus the covers, because I want to get this thing nice and hot and let it maybe drive it around, get it nice and warm and hot, and see if I have any oil leaks after I did the push rod seal replacement, as well as the right here I had some damage from a previous owner, and had to JB weld this area because it was leaking from the valve cover. All right, so hopefully everything works. Okay, so I just got back from a couple-mile bike ride, got it nice and hot, and this did the trick, man. I got no oil coming through, completely dry. I used to have oil just running all over this thing right here, all over the head, and now it's bone dry. That's what I want. I got no leaks on my sidewalk, no drips. Awesome, that's exactly what I wanted. I'm a happy camper. This stupid little quart gasket trick, it worked, man. It works just great. So I got no leakage at all. So that push rod seal is doing the trick, and it's not seeping through. And so there you go, man. Now I'll put all the covers back on so it'll look better. That chrome cover up here I'll put back over this portion here on top, and then that side cover is gonna go over all that right there. But yeah. And I'm still stuck with my stock handlebars, but I'm gonna figure something else out. I just gotta not get such a wide stance of a handlebar. That way I can make the controls work for me. Oh yeah, I still gotta tighten these up, which I'll get that done. Not a big deal. There you go. Oh, I did slam this thing down 2 inches, by the way. I got some Burley brand 10.5-inch shocks, which dropped it down 2 inches in the rear, and it works just fine. It doesn't bottom out. Even with my wife on there running doubles 2 up, it doesn't bottom out. So they're really stiff, good shocks. They're on the lowest setting too, so we could always go stiffer if we need to. But it makes it nice, you know. Have a nice low bike. I got short legs, so I like it. Yeah, it came out pretty clean. Those are my new pipes. They're Dennis Kirk brand, and I took the baffles out, so they're straight pipes. They're nice and loud. And I got the carburetor tuned and jetted for those pipes, and it works great. It sounds really good. Yeah, so this is my Japanese Harley. I love it though. It's good. Good little bike.